So your question is the United States implicated in the violence, the drug war violence that happens in Mexico? Um, the United States, of course, is implicated, mainly in part because the United States sets the tone for drug policies around the world. The United States has an agreement with Mexico in terms of um, their drug policy, such that Mexico's drug policy has to be restrictive or as restrictive as the U.S., and there is money tied to it, basically a bribery. Um, so the way we treat the drug problem in the United States is that we primarily use law enforcement, and when you do that sort of thing, you will arrest a large number of people for not only drug crimes related, that drug-related crimes that are violent, but also simple possession. And so that means that you incarcerate a large number of people. Same is true with Mexico. They have a similar sort of policy, and the people who are most organized, most violent, most willing to use violence are the ones who win in the end. It's like survival of the fittest. So under these drug policies, the best organized, the most violent organizations are the ones who will survive, and that's what happens in Mexico. So the question is quite simple. Of course, the U.S. is implicated in the violence that we see in Mexico. Sometimes people say the U.S. Have the consumers, and we have this insatiable appetite for drugs, but that's kind of short-sighted. Drugs are used worldwide, and they will continue to be. So it just happened that we happen to be that we're close to Mexico geographically, and we have a large consumer base. But if we didn't have the consumer base, somebody else would as well as other countries has a consumer base. So I think that's more short-sighted, and I don't particularly like focusing on that. So people have said that, well, we should legalize drugs, and that way we will decrease the violence over in Mexico. That's one approach, and more power to that approach, but legalization isn't the only strategy. There are other ways that you can deal with this issue by simply decriminalizing certain types of drug use. Portugal might be a good example of that. And so at least you do not get the user caught up, the user who is just simply possessing caught up in this, in all of this, whether they go to jail, the violence, and so forth. So it decreases the likelihood that they'll be involved with that continued mess.